It's all aboard the world-famous Pitchy Ritchie tourist train as it huffs and puffs its way along one of the most historic stretches of railway line in the country. The picturesque track between Quorn and Port Augusta relives the glory days of the Great Northern Railway, when the steam trains hauled their cargo and passengers between the spectacular peaks and valleys of the southern Flinders. It was the site of imposing features like Devil's Peak, so named for its apparent resemblance to the devil lying on his back looking skyward, that attracted the imagination of Dutch couple Leah and Richard Coe. They were so taken with the southern Flinders, they purchased a property at the base of Devil's Peak and turned it into the appropriately named Devil's Peak Bed and Breakfast. It's the perfect base from which to explore the southern Flinders, climb Devil's Peak, or simply meet the locals like Bluey, the resident kangaroo. But to help you delve into the local stories, Leah and Richard have also established a series of walking trails around their property, all well marked for the casual walker.
My experience is when I can get lost, I'll get lost. So if there are markers, that will help other people as well.
The Blue Trail leads to what's left of the tiny settlement of Pitchy Ritchie, a story of big plans and broken dreams.
These are the remains of the first hotel in Pitchy Ritchie, called the Pitchy Ritchie Hotel. It was first licensed in 1866.
Tiny settlements like Pitchy Ritchie and nearby Woolshed Flat would have been welcome relief for the bullockys driving their drays loaded with wool bales heading south to Port Augusta. That is until the railway arrived in 1879.
The tiny hamlet sprang up, hoping to build on the growing railway trade. There were big plans for Pitchy Ritchie, with a subdivision complete with streets, building blocks, post office and 2 breweries.
Even was a school here in Pitchy Ritchie, which had an average of 16.2 students.
The theory of where there's beer there's people, or where there's people there's beer, certainly held true.
This was the old brewery, surprisingly called the Pitchy Ritchie Brewery. This was licensed in 1879 and probably the first brewery in Pitchy Ritchie.
But the dreams of a bustling railway town soon faded when a planned railway siding at Pitchy Ritchie failed to materialise. The town just couldn't survive and, like the ruins, slowly faded into the landscape. Back on the trail, and the resident tawny frogmouth watches as we make our way to another landmark that goes back a lot further. In the Pitchy Ritchie Creek, we can see why the Flinders' geological significance is famous around the world.
These lines in the rock, they're called rhythmites, and they're deposited layers of sediment that are deposited every time there's a ebb and flood, that the tide changes.
Called a clock in a rock, like rings on a tree, they are an almost perfect record of the tide's ebb and flow 640 million years ago.
It's amazing to imagine this as the bottom of the ocean.
Little wonder the Adelaide University has been using this area as a field laboratory for the last 50 years. So whether you're a budding geologist, a train buff, or just want to chill out, the Devil's Peak Bed and Breakfast is the ideal place to do it. Catering for up to 8 people, the self-contained house is at the foot of Devil's Peak, just 12 kilometres south of Quorn. Log on to devilspeakbnb.biz.